Hey guys, in this video we're going to be creating a front end for the Restful API that we built using Node and Express. Alright, and that was the bookstore application. So we're going to build this using AngularJS, and I'm going to try to make it quick and simple. I know that we created books and a genres endpoint, but I'm going to leave the genres out, and we're just going to focus on the books just because the genres is pretty much the same thing, and I don't want to really be too repetitive. And also it gives you guys something to do on your own to try to do it without watching. So I have the bookstore repository as is. I will be adding whatever I do today to the repository, so you'll have the front end as well. And I already cloned this into a project folder. Let me see. Alright, so we have it here, and it's just as it was where we left off in the last video, except we don't have the node modules folder, so we'll just have to run npm install again. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the git bash utility in that folder, and let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Alright, so what we need to do is say npm install, and that'll go ahead and install Express and whatever else we needed. What was it? Mongoose, I think. Yeah, Express, Mongoose, body parser. Alright, so let's go ahead, and the only thing that we're going to edit that we did in the last video is in the app.js folder. We just need to specify what folder we want to use as a static folder, as a public directory. Alright, so we're going to do that right here at the top. We're going to say app.use, and then we're going to pass in express.static, and we need the location, so we'll say directory name, and then we need to add on the name of the folder, which I'm going to just call client. And that's all we need to do on the server side. All right, so let's go ahead and create the client folder. Okay, so everything on the front end is going to go in here. All right, so let's create. We need a controllers folder. Okay, that's where our Angular controllers will live. Let's have a CSS folder and a views folder. And we're just using HTML files for our view. I'm not going to use any special kind of template engine or anything like that. Alright, so we need our front end app.js. This is where mostly our routes will go. We're going to use the Angular route script. And we also need an index file. Alright, now for our controllers, we're going to have, of course, a books controller. And even though I'm not going to really deal with the genres, I'm still going to create the controller file, so you guys can continue with that. Alright, views. I'm going to have a couple of these. Okay, we need one for the home page, which is going to be the books, just a list of books. So we'll call that books HTML. Okay, we're also going to need a book details page. Okay, we're going to need a page to add a book. And then we'll need an edit book page. Alright. And a CSS file, and that should be it for files. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna use the sidebar here from now on, and let's open the index. All right, so we'll just create our HTML tags, create a title. Now we're gonna need a few things. So we're gonna need Bootstrap, we're gonna need Angular, Angular Route, and jQuery. Although I don't think we're going to be using jQuery, but I mean it's good to just have anyways. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Bower to install these, and Bower is a package manager for the client side. Okay, so it's similar to npm, which is for the server side. All right, so to install it, you want to do npm install G. You want to add the G for global so that you can access it from anywhere, and then Bower. All right, and while that's going on, we can go ahead and include our style sheet. Okay, so it's in css/style.css. And we're going to use Bootstrap, so let's navigate to getbootstrap.com. And we're going to grab a nav bar. So if we go to Getting Started and then go to Examples, we have this starter template, and you can view the source with Control U. And we're going to take the nav bar from that. But first, let's go ahead and include these. All right, so we have Bower installed. And what we want to do is navigate to the client folder. And we're going to say Bower install, and let's add a save flag. That's just going to add it to the Bower manifest. And we're going to install Bootstrap, Angular, Angular Route, and jQuery. All right, so that could take a minute. Actually, that goes pretty fast. Yeah, it's all front end, small libraries. All right, so let's go back to the root of the application, and we're going to go and include all those scripts, and I'm going to do some copying and pasting just so it doesn't take as long. So all the scripts are going to go down here. Okay, so we have jQuery, Angular, Angular Route, Bootstrap, our app.js, and then our two controllers. All right, and then up here, sorry about that, let's include the Bootstrap style sheet. Okay, so that's going to be in Bower Components /Bootstrap/ I think it's CSS. Let me just check real quick. Bootstrap dist CSS. All right. All right. So all our scripts are included. Let's grab that nav bar. All right. So I'm going to grab everything from this beginning nav bar down to this ending container div. All right. So I'm going to copy that. Jesus. Let me turn that down. All right, so we're going to paste this in, and let's change a few things here. The project name, we'll change that to bookstore, and let's see, the only thing that we're going to have in the nav bar besides the title is an add book link, because everything else we're just going to have the books on the home page, and then we'll click on a book. It's going to take us to the details page, and we'll have an edit and a delete link on that page. All right, so all we need is an add link. If you want to go ahead with the genres and you want to add maybe a search by genre or something like that, you can do that. So let's get rid of these two links, and I'm going to change this to add book, and that's going to go to $books/add, and we'll be creating these routes. Alright, and I'm going to give it another class called navbar right. Okay, that's just going to float it over to the right. And then I want to get rid of this class right here, this navbar fixed top. And let's change navbar inverse to navbar default. Alright, and if we go down here to the container, we're going to delete what's in the middle of the container div. And we're going to use the Bootstrap grid system just a little bit, so we need a row class. And then we'll do, I guess we'll do a 12 column div for now. And you know, the look of it, the style, I'm not really concerned with. You guys can deal with that if you want. I'm just going to use just a standard Bootstrap look. Alright, because it's not the design that we want to focus on, it's the functionality. Alright, so let's save that and let's see if we can check that out. So if we go and restart the server, or actually start it, we need to do node app. Alright, then we'll go to localhost 3000, and there's our navbar. Let's take that active class off the book link. Okay, so now we need to, I guess, angularize this, and we can do that for the view. Everything that's going to be displayed through Angular is going to go through this div right here, and we're going to say ng view. Alright, so that's a special directive that Angular uses to output all the views. Alright, now for it to use any directives or anything, we need to create an ng app up here, and we're going to set it to, in this case, let's say my app. Okay, that's basically the initializer. And then that should be it as far as this file. We shouldn't really need to do anything else. So let's save that. Alright, and now we're going to go and open up app.js. Make sure it's the app.js in your client folder, not the one that we created in the last video. Alright, so first thing we need to do is create the app object. So we'll say my app, and we're going to set that to angular.module. And then we want to pass in the name, which is going to be my app. And then we need our dependencies. Okay, we're going to have one dependency, but even if we didn't, you still need to have an empty brackets here for it to work correctly. But the dependency that we're going to be using is ng route, and that comes from that Angular route file that we installed. Alright, so now what we want to do is set myapp.config. And this is where we're going to set up all of our routes. So we're going to have a function, and then we're going to pass in the route provider. And then we can use that to create our routes. Alright, so we're going to say route provider dot when, and then we want to pass in whatever the URL we want, which in this case, let's do the home page, which is just a slash. And then we need to pass in a couple more values. Okay, so we need the controller. We're going to specify which controller we want to use when the user goes to this route, and that's going to be the books controller. Alright, and then the second thing we need to specify is the template URL. Alright, so this is going to be in our views, and it's going to be books.html. Alright, so really easy to understand. If we go here, we're going to use this controller, we're going to show this view. Alright, so we can keep on adding on to this. We'll say .when, and for this one, let's say we want /books, and I actually want this to do the same exact thing as the home page. So we'll just grab these. All right. Next thing, let's do the individual books. All right, so we'll say /books/details/ and then the ID, and we can use this colon ID as a kind of a placeholder. All right, and then again we're going to pass in the controller. Same thing, books controller, and template URL. It's going to be different this time. It's going to be views/book details. All right, a couple more. Let's do the add form. So that's going to be at books/add, and we'll just change this to add book. And then we'll do books/edit, and then we need to include the ID for this one as well, so it knows which one to edit. All right, and we'll change this to edit book. All right, and then the last thing we're going to add is .otherwise. So this is basically saying if the user navigates to anything else, oops, I don't need that, I just need anything else other than these URLs, then what do we want to do? Let's just say we want to redirect to /. All right, so it's going to be redirected to the home page if it's not one of these URLs. All right, so that's it. That's it for this app.js file. So now we need to take a look at the controllers. So let's open up controllers books.js. So in the books controller, we're going to specify my app again, and it's going to be angular.module and my app. Okay, so now we can call our controller. We'll say my app.controller. Okay, first parameter is going to be the name of the controller. All right, and then we need to include some stuff here. All right, so of course we need our function. Okay, this is where all of our controller code will go. We also need to pass in a couple things here. Okay, we need the scope. Scope is basically what binds the controller to the view. All right, so you can pass things back and forth with Angular's two-way data binding system. All right, so for instance, if I say scope.name is Eric, okay, so we should be able to, in the view, just do something like this, name, and that should equal Eric. That'll spit out Eric. All right, and you can set that to responses from the database or whatever it may be. Okay, so we need scope. We also need the HTTP module. That's going to allow us to make GET requests and POST requests to our API. All right, then we need location, which deals with redirection and things like that. And then we need route params. And this is going to allow us to get, for instance, get variables or values from forms and things like that. Okay, now this will work as long as you don't use the minified version of Angular. All right, if you use the minified version, it's going to break, because when you minify it, it's going to change these to shorter names. Okay, so this could be A or something like that, and then it's going to break. So to avoid that happening, you want to specify all of these in here as well. I'm sorry, in here. All right, so we want to go like that, and then we also need quotes around them. All right, so that's going to make it so that this doesn't break on you. All right, so just like that. Now what we want to do is we want to create a scope function to get the books. All right, so we'll say scope.getBooks, and we'll set that to function. And then what we're going to do is use the HTTP module, and we're going to make a GET request. And the URL that we want to make the request to is the one that we created, which is API/books. All right, then what we want to do is just say .success, and in there we're going to set a function, and that's going to take in a response object, and then we can assign it to the scope. So we'll say scope.books is going to equal that response. All right, and then we can actually access the books inside of our view, all right, or template. So let's save that, and let's go to views, and then books.html, and we'll just do a test real quick, and then also in our controller, I just want a console log. And we'll just say books controller loaded. Alright, so let's go here. Let's open up the console. And we get books controller loaded and also test. Alright, so that's working good. Now in books HTML, I want to use Bootstrap panel. So let me grab the snippet for that. I think it's under components, and then where is it? Panels. And I want a panel with heading. So let's grab this. Oops. Alright, and in the heading we'll just say latest books. Alright, and panel body, let's go ahead and create a row. Alright, now since we're passing in an array, or we're passing in the results, which is books, we need a way to be able to loop through them and display each one in a list. All right, and to use that, Angular gives us the ng repeat directive. So we can say div, we'll say div ng repeat, and that's going to equal book in books. Div. Okay, so it works like, I guess, like a for each loop would work. All right, so for each book, let's put it in a 3-column div. Okay, so we'll say call md3. Okay, so each book will have a div with 3 columns, and then inside that, let's do half and half. One side will have the image, one side will have the title and the description. All right, so we'll do div, and we'll do md6. Okay, and then we'll just copy that again. And on this side, I'll go ahead and put the title. Okay, so remember, since we're looping through books, we're going to use this, we're going to use book. All right, so we'll say book.title. All right, and then underneath, we'll do book.description. And then for the image, I'm going to say book.image URL, and let's save it. Oh, actually, one thing, since we put that in get books in a function, we have to call this. All right, so to call it, we can actually put in a directive called ng-init, and what that does, it's just going to run whatever function we put in here. So we're going to say get books. All right. Now I have 2 books in there already, I think the titles I put is the same, so just kind of ignore the content that's in there. We just want to make sure we can get it all right. All right, so the images are way too big, so that's an easy fix. All we have to do is go to our style sheet, and let's say image, and we'll say width, set that to 100%. All right, so that description looks much too long, or the div is just much too small. Let's see how it looks if we just have, instead of having 4 columns of 3-column divs, let's do 2. All right, so let's see. Instead of this being 3, let's change that to 6. There we go, that looks better. And then I also want, actually the title should be an H4. You see how I have truth or die for both, and it's not an error in the system or how it's rendering. I just put it like that, so just ignore that. So let's put the title in an H4, and then we'll put a button underneath. Should I do a button? No, we'll do a link. We'll give it a Bootstrap class, btn primary. And the link, it's going to go to, what's it going to go to? /books/details/ and then we need the ID, which we can just stick right in. book._ID. Whoops, I didn't end it. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's give the image a class of thumbnail. That just puts a border around it. Okay, yeah, it looks pretty good. And if we click on it, it's going to take us to books, details, and then the ID. All right, so that's the next thing we're going to want to do is create that template and also that controller function. So let's go back to our books controllers, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to change it to get book singular, and it's going to get API/books/ID, and we're going to set this to scope.book because it's just one, and that actually should do it. Okay, very small amount of code. It's much easier than doing like an AJAX request through JavaScript or jQuery. All right, so now let's open up the book details template, and I'm going to copy books just for something to start with. All right, except we're going to call get book, and let's have the H3 be the title. Oops. So book.title, and then let's see, let's get rid of, keep that row and get rid of everything in between. And let's create a couple columns. So we'll have a 4-column for the image. We'll say call MD4. And then we'll have an 8-column for the other information. All right, so we'll stick the image in here. And then on this side, let's do, I guess we'll do the description. Okay, we'll do that. And then let's create a UL, and I'm going to give it a class of list group, which is a Bootstrap class. And then The LIs will get a class of list group item. Okay, so this first one is going to be genre. This one will be author. Publisher. And let's do pages. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, so let's see, what do we got down here? Looks like we're getting a 404. Our API slash books. What did I do? Oh, actually, I'm an idiot. I put ID. That doesn't, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're going to create a variable called ID, and then we're going to use that route params to get the ID from the URL. So we can say route params dot ID. All right, and then we can just put this in here. We're going to have to concatenate it on like that. Okay, what happened now? Mongoose error, cast error. What? Oh, there we go. All right, so now we're getting all the information. Let's go ahead and put a back button up here so we have an easy way to get back. So in book details, let's go above the panel. And we'll just go to books. All right, cool. So now we're getting the list of books, we're getting the individual book. Oh, I need to put a button to go to the buy link, to go to Amazon. So I'll put that right under the UL. Okay, so that's going to go to book.buylink. And let's see, let's give it a class. Say buy on Amazon. And let's make it open up in another window. All right, so buy on Amazon. Ooh, okay. Book.buylink. Oh, it's by URL, not link. There we go. All right, cool. So next thing I want to do is we want to be able to add a new book. All right, so let's go back to the books controller, and we're going to create another scope function, and this is going to be add book. All right, so this time we're going to be making a post. So it's going to be http.post, and we want this to go to API/books. All right, and then as a second parameter, we need to put in what we want to post, and in this case, it's going to be scope.book, which we'll create in a minute. and then we have success, and then we're just going to redirect. So we'll say window.location.href, and we'll go back to books. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to create the form that's going to submit to this. Alright, and that's going to go, if we click add book, it's going to be this add book.html. Alright, so let's copy this. And we'll replace that with add book. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of this whole everything from within the row. Alright, and then what we're going to do is create our form. Actually, let me grab a form from Get Bootstrap just to start with. Okay, so I'll grab that. Alright, so this form we're going to create an event handler. We're going to say ng submit, and we'll set that to add form. And we want to get rid of this right here, this get book. Alright, so let's see what we got. We need the title. And we don't really need the for attribute. I want to make this as minimal as possible. Type is going to be text. We need the form control. We don't need the ID, but we do need a name. So name is going to be title. Placeholder, we'll just say title. Alright, and let me get rid of these, because most of our fields are going to look like this. Alright, except for this one, we're going to have a select for the genre. So we want select name equals genre. And class is form control. Actually, we need this wrapped in a form group div. So I'm just gonna replace this input here with the select. Alright, and let's change this to genre. And we need some options. And I'll fill those out in a second off camera. What I'm going to do is pause it and go through and just change all these, and I will be back. Alright guys, I'm back, and there's a couple things I want to point out. I know that I had the name attribute on each field before, but you want to change that to ng model. Alright, and that's what binds the scope to the view. Alright, now also for the ng model names, you want not only the field name, but it should be book dot and then the field name. So in this case, it's book.title. Alright, that way we can just send the whole book object to the post, as opposed to just sending separate values. Alright, here we have book.genre. This is book.author, publisher, pages, description, which is a text area, image URL, and by URL. Alright, so those are all the fields. So get that copied. I'm going to save it. And there's our form. What is this border? Looks like I got some of the markup a little screwed up. Yeah, I put the actually no, that's fine. We get the title, panel body, which ends there. Oh, you know why? It's probably because we don't have any columns in our row. So let me just, let's do div class, and we'll do call md12. Alright, and then that's gonna, the ending div will go right after the ending form. There we go, that's better. Okay, so when we submit this, it's going to go to the add form function that we created. So let's give it a shot. Alright, so I'll grab a book off Amazon. Alright, and let's see, mystery thriller. Let's grab this right here, rogue lawyer. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of copy the details. Okay, we'll choose suspense, author, publisher, let's see, random house, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Pages, we'll say 500. Description. We'll grab this. Okay, then the image URL. Let's do copy image URL. Put that in there. By URL is going to be this page. And let's submit it. Alright, so something's going on or not going on. So we have at the top, we have form ng submit add form. Oh, add form. Should be add book. So I'm afraid we're going to have to enter this all again. Let's just do a quick test so I don't have to enter everything again and then just have it give us an error. Okay, so post connection refused. Alright, so let's go to the controller, check it out. HTTP post API / books. Let's do a console log of the book we're submitting. Whoops, what happened? Validation error. Oh, it's because I left some fields out that are required. Actually, did that give us a... Oh, it doesn't tell me much. Alright, let's try it again. Submit. Oh, so now it goes through. Yeah, you can see here that's our object. Alright, so it went through now. I'm going to try one more time with the actual book. Alright, so let's copy the description. Sorry about that, guys. I know this is kind of time consuming. Publisher was what? Random house, something like that. Pages. Image URL. by URL. And submit. There we go. Alright, so this one's kind of screwing it up. But we're going to do the delete function now, so we'll just get rid of it after we do that. Alright, so to delete, let's go to view details, and what I want to do is have an edit and a delete link down here. Alright, so let's go to book details, and we're going to go under everything down at the bottom. We'll create a div, we'll give it a class of pull right. It's a Bootstrap class. Alright, we'll go ahead and put our edit link in here. Alright, so this is going to go to /books. Actually, we need the number sign. Books /edit, and then we need the ID. So I'm going to say book._ID. Okay, so that's the edit. Okay, so this will be delete. And what we're going to do is just give this an ID. So the link doesn't have to go anywhere, and then we'll just say ID, and we'll just say delete book. Okay, so now we have our links down here. Okay, so we click on edit, it's going to go to books, edit, and then the ID. So let's go ahead and let's add that function in the controller. Actually, we'll do that after, because the function is for when we submit the edit form. We just wanted to show it. So let's go to our edit book view, and actually we can copy what we have in add book just to make it a little easier. Alright, so we'll change this to edit. And we want the submit to go to edit book. Actually, let's call it update book. Alright, and we also need to call our get book function because we need it to fill in the form. Alright, so we should have values. We should have access to those values. Alright, so ng model book.title. Alright, so these we don't have to change, these ng models, because it's Angular gives us two-way data binding. Alright, so there's not much we have to do here. If we save that, okay, we have our form. Okay, so if we go to view details and then edit, let's open up the console. Get book is an unexpected token. What did I do? Oh, I just put get book in ng submit. We have to have the ng init directive. There we go. Alright, so it fills that stuff for us. Now what we want to do is create this update book function. So we're going to go to the books controller, and let's just grab this. Change that to update book. Now we want the ID, so we're going to do what we did here in get book. Okay, then we want to say http.put, and we're going to change this. We get API/books/ and then we want to concatenate on the ID. Okay, scope.book, that's what's coming in from the form, that's what we want to replace it with. Success, we'll just redirect. Alright, so that looks good. Alright, so that should change. Let's go to this book here. We have the wrong title anyways. So let's go to edit, and then we'll change it to the stand and submit, and you can see it updated. Alright, so we can now edit our books. So now we just need to create the delete method. Alright, so let's go back into book details. And I initially was going to, I don't know, I wasn't really thinking. I was going to say that we needed to make an AJAX call for delete, but we don't have to do that. I mean, outside of Angular. So we can actually get rid of the ID here. And we're just going to use, what are we going to use? ng-click. I'm sorry, ng-click, yeah. And we're going to set that to remove book. And we also want to pass in the ID. So right in here, we're going to say book._ID. Okay, save that. Now let's go back to the controller, and we'll create remove book. Okay, so it's going to, we're not going to get the ID from the URL this time. We're actually going to get it from the parameter. Okay, so we'll pass in ID, and we're going to say http.delete API books ID, and we're not passing this in, so we want to get rid of that. And then success, and then we'll just get redirected. All right, so let's save that. And let's go check it out. Okay, so I obviously want to delete this test thing here, so let's go click on that, delete, and it's gone. Alright, so we now have complete CRUD functionality on our front end. I know it's not the most full-featured app in the world, but it's a foundation, something for you to build on, and you can also see how we can build the client side in addition to what we did in the last video with the server API. Alright, so that's it. Hopefully you guys liked this video and you learned something. If you could subscribe, that would be great, and I will see you in the next one.